Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we are on episode 50 of Evolve. Session 2, a big, I guess, like milestone show in general because it's also the start of season 2, so has a bunch of different things about it. And it lived up to the hype. I would say, it was an interesting set of matches. Some of the matches I thought maybe not exactly what I would have been doing, but other stuff I thought they was extremely well, and they had a few segments in between, so we'll talk about it. Hopefully the audio is good on this one. The last one was bad. I got to re-record it. I was trying to fix it, but it's probably gonna be better just to re-record it and re-upload it. So I apologize for that one, but let's talk about this episode. So we started off the show with Brooks Jensen versus Harlem Lewis. It kind of was the throwaway match. I mean, last time with Succession 1, it was similar with Brooks Jensen versus Tay Wilder. Not that they were either one were bad matches. The problem was it was just like not really built to really be much of anything. They did have at least a little bit better on this one that like they've had some interactions between each other, but they're basically just two heels fighting for really nothing, to be honest. But this match should have just easily been the number one contenders match. I think that would have definitely built the match to being a little bit more of value. I know that's what they were kind of saying, but like if they don't say it in wrestling, that means that they're not sure. So that part in just itself made it, just miss that little extra to put it all together. I'm not a big fan of either one of these guys. Not that they're necessarily bad. Brooks Jensen to me, I just feel like he's one of those like projects for them that like this is his last stop. He's tried the NXT stuff, didn't really work out. Now that he's in Evolve, he needs to have a good push if they really want to see what he can make. But they're kind of only putting like their toes in the water to try to figure it out, and it's not working for him because he's just having a bunch of time where you don't know what he's doing, and he kind of disappears when he should either be really towards that main event scene or nowhere near it. But taking the L here does not help that. So I think for Brooks Jensen, the writing's on the wall for him, unfortunately. I don't think this is going to work out fully for him in WWE if they don't really decide to give him that full push. Harlem Lewis obviously has been in an Evolve for since episode 1. He had the part where he's going off the LFG, which honestly, seeing LFG's season 3's roster, Evolve might be in a little trouble depending on how much they actually let them, do both because like Cam Hendricks is in it, Callie Armstrong, PJ Vasa, like almost everybody that you could think of that is here, like that's not splitting time. Um, is on that roster also, so they're going to be splitting time also. So I can see some stuff happening from that. Also, Layla Diggs, Mason Holiday, Ariana Bennett's probably there. I'm trying to think of some of the other names I saw. Just a lot of the roster. Pretty much everybody that you could think of that's like on the younger side or on the just been on Evolve side. But this match, going back to it, I think I would put it in the C. I would honestly, me personally, I really didn't enjoy the match, so I'd put it in like the enjoyment part would probably put it in D. But I do think the match wasn't like technically a bad match. It just wasn't much of a entertaining match to me at all. Just in general. Then we get a little segment on Lady Luck. Honestly, the way that they built her so terrible for even being the women's ID prospect champion or whatever. That like this kind of hype package feels a little late. I know they're probably now thinking, "Oh well, we need to start building up another woman to go out there and do something." But I feel like taking the L's and the matches that she did have were just not been good for her. This promo itself was okay though. I'll put it in C. I didn't really get hyped because there's not a lot of hype to put behind her. Then we get to the Women's Evolve Championship. It was a street fight. Kendall Gray versus PJ Vasa. Obviously, this is going to be one of those matches with the street fight aspect to it that I really think was a good call here because it kind of helps PJ Vasa catch up to the wrestling ability that Kendall Gray has. Because if it's just a full match, we know Kendall's going to just, be that top dog right there. She's always been that person since day one of Evolve, and I think she would expose PJ Vasa for the skills that she's trying to get back into. Like I think PJ Vasa's decent on the mic, but her wrestling skills definitely need that extra elevation, and this type of match really helped that with hey, you don't really necessarily need to have the best moves, you just need a little bit of brutality. Some good good spots there. The table spot towards the end was pretty good. I think everything that they were doing was really good. Uh, this was the right call. I think I still put the match maybe in a B. It was very entertaining, but again, it was just kind of one of those matches that like one, I think they should have gave him more time, and two, for a street fight, it was pretty tamed compared to some of the other stuff that we've ever seen in street fights. So I don't think it was necessarily wrong. I definitely would probably put PJ's Vasa's wrestling to a C, and I'd put Kendall up into an A if she did exactly what she was supposed to go out there. Really surprised that she didn't lose here. I'm gonna be honest, like the way that they set up this card and set up the call ups to NXT, I was a little confused on what they were doing here. Not as much about Kendall Gray because she technically didn't get the call up to NXT, but they've been using her so much on NXT, it felt kind of pointless. But they are in the same building, and if she can go to doing both, like if she takes a little bit of time on NXT, a little bit of time on Evolve, I'm cool with it. Also, man, they really need to fix these timelines. They had the Vanity Project stuff in the background. I was gonna put it as a segment on its own, but it really wasn't much of anything like substance wise. But man, they're their NXT Tag Team Champions, and they don't have their titles. I really believe that they weren't like fully planned to win those titles because like they did not give them the titles just to be showing off. So that's when you know that we're caught up a little bit because you'll see the NXT titles on the Vanity Project. So I don't know, they've gotten a mega push automatically already onto NXT. So and they're almost on. They've been almost on that show every week since they've debuted, either in a segment or a match. So yeah, a great job for the Vanity Project. We also had a backstage thing or like promo, whatever you want to call it, of Tate Wilder getting beaten up on a bike by Cam Hendricks and I think it was Jax Presley. Um, just kind of the setup, the whole like that he cost him a match. I do like this feud. I think Cam Hendricks versus Tate Wilder would actually really cook. They're both really good on the things that like that they're really like suited for. Like with Cam Hendricks, he's a great heel, has that great thing. You know, Tate Wilder's that good face that like you want to root for because he's the good guy and trying to just do right and stuff. So I think it's a decent feud. I think after hopefully the next couple weeks they bring it up again with that whole LFG thing. I'm a little concerned that we're going to lose a lot of roster members, that they're just going to be on that show, but I hope that's not the case because the season's a little different with LFG. It looks like it's going to be like a no team but everybody just trying to help and do stuff. So that being said, I think will be a little bit easier for them to do double duty because I'm just really thinking of like this could have been a way to write out Tate Wilder for a bit. They could also, write out Cam Hendricks because, he could get suspended. So, like, they could definitely use this to build up a story, but I really hope it's just a rivalry that they're going to build up. I'll put this in A. I do think the feud will be pretty good. Also, we had a little mini thing that said that there's a major town hall announcement next week. I'm interested to see what it's going to be. I have a feeling that I mean, I guess in my feeling is that we kind of do need that GM type thing on the show, even if it's just kind of somebody filling in. I mean, everything with like with Ava leaving NXT and Robert Stone going to NXT and him coming off commentary, and then obviously they got rid of Stevie Turner. It just makes it a little bit harder on certain things. Like having that GM thing just is like a really easy way to set matches up and do different backstage stuff that I just get one dude or girl that can talk a little bit and just make them the GM and let them go because it's not a hard job to do on TV. So I think they need to have that on this to really help. So maybe that will be the announcement. I can probably think that like the other idea would be like maybe a second type of like major event, like a PLE type thing. I could see something like that, or something else that they're gonna do. Because honestly, like there's a lot that we've liked and disliked about the last year, and I just think like this is a really good time to hit the iron when it's hot because like there's a lot of momentum, a lot of new eyes on the show going into season 2. There's a lot of stuff they could have changed, but they kind of felt like they did a safe fade on this show, which we still have to talk about the last match. But I just feel like there was this like hopefully announcement is something that's going to be pointing us to the direction of what season 2 is going to be like. But yeah, next up we had the men's championship, Jackson Drake versus Cappuccino Jones. Right off the bat, I just think the only thing I could really say about this match, just to start, is that they just picked the wrong dude to win because Jackson Drake obviously has been a great champion, but there's no other person that I can think of on the entire men's roster that can stand up to him like Cappuccino Jones. He should have been the one to dethrone him to hold on to that title. Like Jackson Drake's going to be doing NXT stuff, and he always is going to have that title. Like when he got pinned on NXT, it just feels so weird because it's like he's a champion on a different show. Like he really needs to get rid of that championship so he could really move on from that. But yeah, I wasn't necessarily happy with that. But the match itself, I thought was really good. Both men obviously are the top tier. These are the top two wrestlers on the men's division. There's no question about it. I really can't think of anybody else that's like currently on the roster of an Evolve that is better than these two. So it was the right call. I think the ending was the bad idea, but definitely a good match. Cappuccino Jones, I think, was in that very special S tier spot of wrestling. Jackson Drake was also in the A. So honestly, you could put this up at S or A, and I don't think there'd be anything wrong. I'm gonna put it up in A. My main gripe about it would be obviously who won, and I think a lot of the time had a lot of filler in it for being such a long match that they had a lot of just holds and rests and stuff, which both men don't really need to be doing because like this should have been a all out match. I would have taken a 7 or 8 minute match if they just let them go at full force that entire time because it makes sense that these two type of guys would burn themselves out because they're cruiserweights doing crazy stuff, especially Cappuccino Jones, and I just think that ending is a little sour to me, especially because he went clean. You know, it wasn't really like any crazy interference or anything like that. I think that's definitely makes it a little bit more rough because like if he would have just got the ref got bumped and the Vanity Project jumped Cappuccino and he ended up winning, I think would have helped a lot better for the storyline and maybe even got them a rematch. But obviously they have some type of plan, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, tell me if you guys enjoyed the show. Still thinking about doing the season one recap. I just have not had any time. I've been really wanting to, put together the tier list at least. I haven't even done that yet. So hopefully I can get into that as soon as possible. I just haven't done much of anything. And then I was thinking of also maybe doing a tier list on the roster, where everybody is at currently, because the roster is, solidified pretty solid right now after everybody being called up. So it's an interesting thing to rate them and see what the future holds now that season two is around. So I will see you guys in the next one. It's been Japan. Bye, guys.